Okay, this week's blog is called Bread and Milk. The scene I've just witnessed has left me open-mouthed, wide-eyed and utterly speechless. I just wish I could have written a scene so bleak, so devastating and so perfectly designed to rip the arse mercilessly out of a person's soul that left a void of any hope for a future past the immediate. I've seen many terrible things in my life, some gruesome fatalities on the road, the bodies of the old and the young, the carnage and distress caused by house fires and floods, but nothing has prepared me for the total hopelessness of what I've just experienced. For those of you who don't remember the events of March the 1st, 2018 in the UK, we suffered what was called in the media the Beast from the East. Otherwise known as a week of minus temperatures, some moderately high winds and about half a foot of snow. The kind of thing that other countries live with constantly. But no, not in the UK. Here we have to panic. And we have to panic in such a pathetic and cataclysmic style that my local Morrison's, where the gang may have holed up in book one, looks more like an undead horde had ripped through it instead of your normal Thursday evening shoppers. I was one of those rare creatures who actually needed bread and milk. Instead of finding the bread and milk that I wanted, I found a scene so devastating that I started taking notes in the hope that I could accurately describe to you the desolation, that void in my soul I felt on seeing the ransacked shelves, and pass on those feelings effectively in writing. But I don't think I can. I saw tins bent and discarded and scattered on the aisles where I imagined desperate shoppers running down the length of the shelves with an arm held stiff as they scattered tins into their trolley indiscriminately, bouncing the bent contents in any direction in the desperation to keep their three-wheel beast in line as that single errant wheel flapped uselessly. I imagined that same desperate shopper turning left out the aisle of canned vegetables and canned fish, of which there were quite a few left actually, and slipped to land heavily on the squeaky tile floor as they spun out of control to scrabble their feet and make it to the eggs, before some other quick-witted scavenger made it to the freeze-dried noodles before them. I imagined them turning right at the end of the aisle, their feet slipping on wet tiles, and the spilt cream that lay in inexplicably large globules of random spots on the floor. Then they powered up their legs again, only to pause as they found themselves in that confusing aisle marked seasonal. That contained a curious mixture of discounted Valentine's chocolates, 3 for 2 Easter eggs, and temporarily confused their mind with a mixture of Mother's Day gifts. And then either good sense or renewed panic stirred them back into action. Next for them came the chilled aisle, mostly devoid of contents, forcing the discerning looter to try organic red top instead of their usual semi-skimmed. They turned left again, past a section where the rest of the eggs used to be, and they slipped on that oily filth on the floor to regain their footing just in time to take the next turn with more skill and experience into the bread aisle. The scene of the crime, where only the costliest of loaves remained. All those other shelves littered with parts of crusts over a floor covered in ripped wrappings and crumbs, and looking left where there was a single pack of torn, organic whole wheat bagels twisted on the shelf as though with a broken spine. That ripped pack of seeded wraps that already looked untrustworthy, and the trampled cakes and spilled packets of cherry bakewells. Next was the alcohol aisle, empty, as though that were the highest priority in survival, forcing the more discerning shopper to buy locally branded vodka to accompany their Fanta Zero. And then on to the biggest horror of all, the empty checkouts. That single conveyor belt operated by a human being, and one that looked so depressed and so close to death that you aren't sure it'd be worth having to put your hard-won items back in the basket and find another till when she finally goes towards the light while scanning. So you take yourself to the self-service section, and when that light When that bloody light above your head goes red until you know you just know. There isn't a single person who works there in sight. Eventually, with my pathetic haul, I regain the safety of my car outside and start the engine to lock the doors in case any opportunistic scavenger is marauding in the car park, and I think to myself, this isn't the apocalypse. It's 3-day forecast of snow, for fuck's sake.